Mouthpiece. Ow! Stop playing, baby. Brooklyn.
Been a long time coming, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm
And we
here.
about to run the city up. The people, they can't get enough.
Tap in with me.
Cause we steady on that real shit. No BS,
Beautiful.
no bullshit. Mouthpieces, yeah.
Smiles. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Beautiful, and we're here at Mouthpiece. I have a special dope guest with me today. His name is Casey.
Hey!
dope engineer, producer, coming out of New York.
What's up? Well, hello everybody. How you guys doing?
What's
so
up?
excited for being here. You know, every morning I wake up and I hope that someone interviews me. So today has finally come. It's the day. I feel so blessed and gracious to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah. What's up everybody? How you guys doing? Shout out everybody.
So the reason why I sat today with Casey is because I've been working with Casey for a year. He's worked with my artists, and he's worked with a lot of people. And I want you guys that are upcoming artists to know more about like coming to the studio, preparation, and things like that. Usually we come to the studio, we don't know what to do, right? So I felt like having a producer sit here with us today and actually tell you guys step by step almost what you guys should be, looking forward to coming to the studio. So let's get straight into it.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna give away all my secrets. I'm not holding back.
When did you start engineering?
When did I start engineering? Great question. So I've been making music my whole life, ever since very young. 6 years old, I think. I was playing guitar, and around 15, I found GarageBand on my mom's laptop. I was like, oh, this is fun. You can make music, I've always been a musical kid, and now that I had a platform to create my own music, that was really exciting to me.
Okay.
So about 6 months in, I wanted to up the ante a little bit, and I got Ableton, which is a professional software.
Okay.
And so around 15 years old, I was using Ableton to make and record my own music. I was playing guitar, so it was a lot of like rock and punk, just
dope shit.
teenage dirtbag making rock music and being as loud as I could without getting in trouble from my mom,
Okay.
That kind of stuff. And I think at that age, that's when I started engineering, because I need to literally engineer myself to make sure I'm recording everything right and all my guitars and awful vocals sound good. So I think around 15, that's when I started engineering.
Okay. So you said at 15, being that young, right? Like, did you have any training? Who guided you or who helped you because you were that ill?
That's cool. So I taught myself all that stuff when I was young.
Okay.
I was on YouTube,
Shout out to YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube really taught me everything I
Okay.
needed to know at that age. It's just like, you have a question, the internet's so amazing, you search it, and there's 10 different people who have that answer on YouTube.
Okay.
And I really taught myself how to engineer through that. Later in life, I started doing formal school and stuff, but I don't think you're asking that. You're talking about when I was young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was teaching myself, it's kind of like figure it out. GarageBand's also really easy to figure out what to do, and over time you just practice and get better, and you learn 1 or 2 things a day until you're fluent on it. It's almost like any software. I think, we all grow up with technology at such an early age now that you almost know it already before you even learn it. So
Right.
I think, just being on Ableton every day and trying to figure out what all these different buttons mean, taught myself.
Okay. So now being self-taught, YouTube is a dope place. And I also want to say I appreciate YouTube too, because a lot of people don't know where to go to find these answers, and YouTube is here to, let's utilize the internet. And you said YouTube, I go on YouTube too to learn self-taught things. So now, you said you use the program
Ableton.
Okay, gotta get it right. Ableton.
Uh-huh.
What kind of software program is that? So that way, they could really.
Yeah, so that's a digital audio workstation, otherwise known as a DAW. And there's a bunch of them. There's Pro Tools, which is the most popular one. That's the one we're using over here. FL Studio is a really popular one for cooking up beats. People love to make beats on FL Studio. There's a bunch. Logic is a really popular one because it's very cheap. It's around $250, so anyone can get started in a professional DAW system. There's a lot of them. So, you know, Ableton is basically a workstation to make and cut up all your different sounds. You know, you can layer your vocals and your guitar and your drum beat, all the different things. You have to put it into a certain place, right? It has to exist somewhere, and that's in the DAW. So at the time I started with Ableton and worked my way up.
Okay. Did you have any challenges at that time coming up, or anything as far as discouraging you?
You know, sometimes making music, you know, especially when you're young, it's not always, you know, it's cool and it's a great form of like expressing yourself, but a lot of people might not get it. So I think growing up when I was a kid, I might have been made fun of. It wasn't really the cool thing to do, you know. You know, that goes with a lot of artists, like painting, you know, people doing dancing. It's sometimes hard to feel 100% comfortable when you're trying to be creative and enter and show everyone your vulnerable space. So, you know, making sure that I stuck with that and never gave in to peer pressure to just like play a sport and, you know, get drunk and stuff. But like on the weekends, I would want to go into my little studio with my, you know, with my friends and make music instead of going out and partying or doing all sorts of, you know, all the cool kid stuff. You know, I wanted to be at home cooking up and making music. And so I think, you know, at a young age when so many of those things really challenge you and influence you, it's hard to feel 100% comfortable. So I think that was a challenge growing up. Also, as you get older, your parents pressure you to do maybe the most academic, rigorous thing. They want you to, you know, be a doctor or be XYZ, go to, you know, do all this fancy, you know, make lots of money. And when they see that your kid is passionate in music, that can be really hard because they know, you know, no parent really wants to see their kid grow up in the arts, unfortunately. They think it's, you know, not great money and stuff, and it's like, you know, of course they want their kid to be creative and express themselves, but at the same time they want to make sure they're down a path that's going to be financially rewarding. You know, people really concerned about money. So I think as I got older, there was a lot of pressure to maybe stay in a more academic, rigorous material and, you know, make sure I'm focusing on school and stuff too.
You said that you were disciplined, you weren't doing the average kids thing, you were, you know, going home and doing the work and working with the friends in the backyard, in the garage, and things like that. What kept you like driven?
Yeah, great question. Music, it really always has been my passion. So outside of school, I was playing guitar. Inside of school, I actually grew up playing the cello since 3rd grade. I was a cello player. You know, that big body. You know. I was rocking the cello all the way up until high school.
Talented.
Yeah. Always been just. I love music. I come from a musical family. You know, I have a lot of aunts and uncles and, you know, relatives that play music professionally. So it's always just been in my blood. But like I said, you know, I had a lot of pressures to do something, you know, fancy job and XYZ. So I always dealt with that in school, actually. In college, I ended up going to like a business school and studying finance, thinking, oh, you know, I want to have that as maybe a backup. Maybe, you know, I'll keep doing music, but I also want to have a safety position, right? You know, so I ended up going to school for, you know, business. I got a 4-year degree. And right after school, the first thing I said was like, yo, fuck this. I don't want to go do banking, plugging numbers in a calculator all day. I love music. I'm going to do whatever it takes to, you know, pursue that passion. And so I stayed in it after school. Actually ended up going to a studio in Hong Kong. Got invited to go out there and work in Asia at a studio, recording studio and art space.
How was that?
Cool.
How was that?
It was amazing. It was a real blessing. Yeah, I learned. That's where I really jump-started my music career, you know, because we were in a professional space finally. It was basically like an internship, you know. I was just kind of doing whatever I can in the studio space to find my energy and how I belong in that environment. And I was, you know, I studied under a big mentor over there, a big engineer over in the Asian scene. and he really taught me so many things. And that's where I learned and I felt that this is my passion. It's what I want to do for life, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep doing this and not have to go do some banking bullshit, you know?
Right.
So, you know, I did learn a lot of things in school other than just, you know, money. You know, it was like I did have a music technology minor.
Okay.
I was in the studio in my college too, all the day, every day. I was the studio manager at the school. Okay. So I was always making sure I was connected to music, even during that, you know,
still had your passion
that business
somewhere around
school
you,
shit.
right?
Yeah, have to.
Right.
I couldn't stop, you know.
Right.
So I think, you know, the story continues, but yeah, it's always been music that's kept me alive. Okay. And through that, when I got back to New York, I was broke as shit. I had $0, and I was like, what can I do to, you know, eat? I gotta eat, right? I'm super poor, you know, like $0, you know, right off the boat back from Asia. And so I just hit up studios around and said, hey, do you need engineering? I started at a dingy little closet studio. I'm not gonna name the name of the studio.
Right.
You know,
started from the bottom, now we here.
Yeah, I was in the deep hood of Queens, you know, recording. And there was one closet was the booth, and the other closet was to smoke your blunt. You know,
I felt that.
And it was like, it was right.
That's just to show, like how passionate you were, because somebody seeing that probably wouldn't even try to, you know, even. Do that, but yeah, okay.
And so slowly I just started building relationships with all the people that I love to make music with. Found all the other artists that were passionate like I was, and you know, started working my way up studio, and I finally landed here at one of the most elite studios in the country, IMI Studios. Shout out IMI and Armando. Yes. You know, the legendary spot. I'm really blessed to be here, and you know, I really did work my way from 0 clients and 0 artists. No one was working with me when I first started, until I have a great family of people that I love to work with and cook up with. Yeah. All different styles and genres. So, yeah, I really did, you know, work my way up to get to this spot.
For any upcoming artists right now who is struggling, what kind of advice would you give them to keep them motivated?
Great question, because I see a lot of young artists start off, you know, let's keep it to music, right? They release a few songs, it's not getting thousands and thousands of views, right? You're just starting off, and you're like, shit, I'm only got 12 views, or, you know, XYZ, and it can be really discouraging, because you know your song is amazing, you spend all this time and energy, it's almost like, it's like your baby when you release it, right? Everyone's been there, and it doesn't get the recognition it deserves, and you might feel discouraged. That's really hard for someone to say, okay, let me just keep doing it. But it will grow. Everyone started at 0 at one point. Even the most famous people had 0 views when they put out their first song, and had to work there. You know, unless you were blessed with a super popular parent or something. I don't know, you know, but for most of us, we had to start from the bottom, you know? And I'll tell you, you know, I'll say 2 things. There is going to be something about the music or the arts. Let's say you're a different kind of artist, a painter. Something is going to drive you inside of you. That's what makes you an artist. Whether it's writing the song, or whether it's being in the booth and trying to figure out what you're going to do with the microphone, or whether it's the music videos and being a star and just you know, having that star energy. There's something that every artist really draws to. Maybe it's all the above. And my advice would be to find that thing that's just is burning inside of you, and use it every day, or every other day, or as much as you can throughout the week, as much as you're able to, and just keep that passion, that burning thing alive. Mine was creating songs and using Ableton or a different DAW to create a body of work. I love that, of just starting from scratch, and it turns into a song in a few hours. I love that, like, creation. You know, it's like clay or something, a different material.
Yeah.
And so I make sure that I can do that as much as possible. You know, maybe the other parts are different, might feel like work, maybe releasing it, or maybe, you know, scheduling people. I don't know. There's things that don't always feel like the best part about being an artist.
Right.
But use that one seed of just love that you just have for that one seed of love that you have for the arts, and let that fuel you. And if you stay with that, other people are gonna feel that energy of like, oh, this person loves to write great lyrics, or this person loves to scream on the mic and be as aggressive as possible. There's so much pain, you know? Everyone's got a different side of them. Just find that one thing and let it fuel your love, and over time people will find that and care about you as an artist.
For anyone booking a session, what should they expect?
Oh, great. So there's a few things that go down in the studio session. It's not all fun and games, you know. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I would break it down into 4 categories, right? The first is having a song. And so sometimes people come in and they might have the beat, but they don't have the song or the lyrics prepared, which is okay. You know, it's a great energetic space. If you don't have anything prepared, that's fine. You come in and we're gonna create a song.
Right.
So there's writing the lyrics and the phrasing and the flow of the song, and maybe the difference between the chorus and the verse. Songwriting, basically. Some people like to just hear the beat incessantly over and over and over again with the, you know, piece of paper or their phone and write the lyrics down.
Right.
Some people actually like to go and do it live on the mic. It's called freestyling, or recording off the top of their head. And so they'll go into the booth with the beat and just do it line by line as it comes to them, which is really fun if they, you know, if they can do it. Sometimes you don't know what to say and you get kind of stuck, and you know, but there's the songwriting element. The second is the recording process, and this is where I make sure everything's being captured beautifully from the microphone all the way into the system, and we're capturing a great recording that we can use later. The third part is mixing and mastering, and that's where I take all the elements of the song, from the instrumental to the vocals, the different parts of the drum beat, the different synthesizers and melodic instruments, and I make them all fit together into one song. So maybe it needs to be a beautiful song because it's an R&B singer, or maybe it's a dance song, so it's got to be nice and punchy and make you want to get up and dance, or maybe it's an aggressive song, it's just got to have that pain on it, you know? I have to go and mix the song to make sure it's capturing the emotional, I have to mix the song to make sure it's capturing that energetic space of the artist, whether it's dancing or love or pain or aggression, you know. The fourth part of the studio is maintaining a good energetic space in the room, and that's super important, and something I focus on. Maybe 50% of my energy is just making sure the vibe is good in the room. If the artist feels comfortable, if the artist feels good and in a good space to be creative, it's gonna make a great recording. You know, if they're tense or, you know, distracted, or people in the room are, you know, maybe fucking with their head, you know, it throws off the vibe. And so I think it's really important. Sometimes I'll just ignore, let's say an artist pulls up with 20 people. Sometimes I'll ignore all 19 of those people and just make sure I'm focusing on that artist, and just ignore everyone else. Because you want to make sure when they're in that booth, they're locked in and they're present with the microphone, and not their DM from their ex, or the person in the room that's, you know, being sloppy drunk, you know. They gotta, you know,
they gotta stay focused.
Yeah, they gotta stay focused. So I think, you know, creating good energetic space where they feel safe, they can make mistakes and no one's gonna care and feel judged. It's really important. So that's what you can expect when you pull up to a studio session.
And I'm glad you said that, because I've seen multiple of your clips, you know, just giving little jewels to the artists in your reels, showing like coming to the studio prepared, having your beat, having your song, just being prepared all together. Nobody want to come to the studio and feel like they're wasting their time. But have you been to the studio, wasted your time? Feel like you wasted your time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
All the time.
Talk about it.
talk about it?
Yeah, like artists
Alright.
just
I'm
come
not
in.
naming names though.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so you want to smoke, you want to drink, that's cool. You want to do your lean or do your drugs or whatever, that's cool, so be it. That's all you. But sometimes if you get too lit and you can't really record, you know, trust me, I don't mind. Sometimes you have a little, maybe, you know, you're kind of twisted and you're on the mic and it gives a certain sound.
Right.
I understand that. That's part of your energetic expression. That's part of your creative expression. You want to sound, you know, Lil Wayne's famous for sounding like he's just on lean all the time, right? People get that sound. But when you can't think straight, oh man, I feel like I'm wasting my time. You know, it's the worst. So make sure you're at least sober enough to, you know, capture good recording.
So in those type of sessions, right? How do you conduct it? Like, how do you get the artist back on track if you can?
Well, I'll just tell them you gotta record another time, you know? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I keep it real. I'm not gonna pretend. Or I say, yo, today's a rough draft session. And we're just gonna make a great rough draft. Let's see how many great bars we can get out of today. You know? Another thing that happens sometimes, the singer or the rapper isn't really on point. Maybe their voice isn't really right that day. Or maybe they picked a song for a beat that they can't really sing. They can't really hit the notes of the song, but they never practiced out loud, so it's not sounding right. And they didn't realize it wasn't gonna sound right.
As good as it,
You know, sometimes you gotta switch gears and try different beats and maybe pitch the key down. There's always challenges in a session. Maybe, you know, you think it's gonna hit hard and then you hear it back on the speakers and you're like, yo, this song's kind of boring, you know? That happens to everybody, you know, not every song's a hit record. You know, and so sometimes you need to treat things in studio time, you know, as practice or maybe rough drafts to help learn and build yourself. And not think of every minute as so precious and understand you're gonna have misses, you're gonna have hits, you know? That's part of being an artist. Yeah, so practice your song out loud. That being said, give yourself a chance to hear what it sounds like and see, can I actually hit those notes without auto-tune? If you can't hit the notes, auto-tune's not gonna help you, buddy. Sorry. I mean, honestly, you could download BandLab. I'm a huge fan of even having a little microphone set up at the home. It's not gonna sound great. It won't have that mixed by KC sound, you know? But it's a great way to practice and see what your flows feel like. You know, BandLab is a great tool. Just off your phone, whatever you gotta do to just hear and get a demonstration.
I'm really big on artists doing rehearsals. I advise my artists all the time to do rehearsals. That's something really, really major, especially being an artist. Having your shit together, writing things down, notepads in the phone, or like scrapbooks, or whatever it is, just practice. Very important. Come to the studio and practice things. Who are like some of your favorite projects and artists you work with?
So I remember recording Tata from 41 recently, and when I say pinpoint accuracy, this guy is to the millisecond on time with his vocals. It's amazing to watch. And you know, he's a great lyricist and a songwriter and really respects the craft of vocal recording. So I was very impressed to see him record. He was one of my favorite artists to work with. Another person that I love to record with is Ali Caldwell. Amazing R&B singer. She was a semi-finalist on The Voice, actually. And just killer vocals.
Oh my gosh.
And she's one of these singers that just melts your soul when she records her vocals, and some of her harmonies just like they hit you right there, you know. I really love my R&B singers. So
that's dope.
You know, she's a great person to record. I love working with her. And then also on the dance hall scene, I work with a lot of Jamaican artists, and I remember mixing a song for Dechrome and Chronic Law. And yeah, it was the song was called Henny Took My Soul, and it was a pain song. You know, and it was just listening to these artists just pour their heart out on a microphone and just get that, you know, raw energy and emotion, even without saying too much. It's not like they were crying on the microphone or anything, you know. They still kept it real and 100, but you could just feel that pain from you know, these guys. So you know, I love working with great vocal artists. So those were some of my favorites. I love working with vocal artists and great performers and people who love their craft. So those are definitely some of my favorites.
That's dope.
When I'm outside the studio, you know, it's very social being in the studio and working with people all day, every day. So when I get out of the studio, I like to decompress and be alone and relax and just reset my social battery. So I love nature and going on walks. I fuck with bike rides. Bike rides are fire. I go to parks. When I have a few days I can take off, I like to go upstate to the Catskills and just zone out in the mountains and look at the trees and stretch out my eyeballs from being in the city. You know, I like those kind of things. I like relaxing and you know, de-stressing, decompressing. Those things are important to me. I also love trying new foods and trying different, you know, cuisines and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of times when you catch me at home, I'm editing videos for Bar for Bar. So I love, you know, right now I love working with cameras and editing and stuff. That's something I'm really passionate about. So when I'm not at the studio, I'm home also editing videos. I guess working more, you know? Yeah.
Just passion.
Yeah. Usually I'm here like 12, 16 hours a day, every day, right?
Okay.
So any free time I usually spend just taking breaths and just, you know, recharging myself and making sure I'm in a clear headspace for my next artist or my next day, you know?
Right.
So that's what I like to do.
Okay. So you just mentioned Bar for Bar. Let my audience know exactly what Bar for Bar is.
Great, I'd love to. Bar for Bar is a new platform I just started showcasing artists and their time in the studio. And, you know, I feel like there's just such a magic energy when you're in a studio, when you're locked in with an artist in the booth, or when you finally turn the speakers on when you hear a mix for the first time out loud. There's so much magic and electricity that can happen when you're in this space, and I want to capture it and show people what that's like, because I feel like it's a great way to learn what an artist is like and what they do when they're in a studio session, and it's entertaining, it's fun to watch, you know? So that's what Bar for Bar is. It's really a platform to just show what it's like inside a studio.
Yeah.
I started for a few reasons. One, a lot of artists, when they're making music these days and want to become a vocal artist, they don't realize that most of being an artist is actually your presence online, and it's a huge aspect. And a lot of people signing up to be a music artist and really want to make it, they don't realize, oh wow, there's a studio portion, but there's also this whole content creation part. I have to be a content creator, not just I can't just make music. So this is also a way for artists to help make content for them at an affordable way.
Okay.
So that they can have another, you know, making music videos is an obvious one, but sometimes you need those little short snippets or something in between. So I want to create a space for artists to be able to make more content easily and affordably. So that's what Bar for Bar really is for too.
Okay.
I also want to help put everyone on. I record so much great music every fucking day. Just great. I was like, if they had the exposure, this would be a hit song. But it's not, because they only got XYZ followers, or you know, all the hard struggles of being an artist right now. So ideally the page blows up and everyone I can put on the platform blows up. I want to be lit too, not gonna lie. I want the studio to be lit. I want everyone to be lit. So this is, you know, this is this is me trying to take it into my own hands and create a better outlet for my artists to grow and get exposed to the world and get the recognition they deserve.
So I really enjoyed that answer, because I am a witness to being in the studio as an artist as well. My intro to the podcast show you've produced for me, helped me with, being in the studio with you is super dope. I did the slide, but I also want to incorporate my own experience with you. I have an artist and we've been working with you, and coming to the studio, it's like no joke for real. Casey be on it. Like, he was like, he puts the beat on, he lets you practice, he gets you in the studio, and that practice thing he's talking about is really, really, really important. He gets you in the studio and he has you really practicing your song before you start. A lot of the time I've been to other studios, they don't have time for that, you know what I mean? And he really takes the time out to like feel the music. Like every single song, like it's his song. So I really appreciate that from you, for real. I wanted to tell you that.
Thank you.
And my intro is like so dope.
Okay.
All right, so being that we're from New York, it's very competitive out here, right? And we talk about, you know, artists doing content and the way that, you know, the world is right now with social media. Mm-hmm. There are dope artists out here who, you know, don't have the following or don't have, you know, the backing right now. Mm-hmm. What kind of advice would you give those type of artists right now?
You could get on bar for bar.
I felt that. Yeah. For real, bro.
Yeah, for real.
That's it. Yeah.
No, I'd say, great question. So what advice do you give? I'd say you really should focus on making friends and being lovable and enjoying other people and working with other artists. You know, this is an engaging experience. This is about building a community and support from fans that want to love you.
Yeah.
So
networking.
Yeah, it's not just making good songs. You also want to be
a part.
Yeah, you want to be, I don't want to say popular. Popular is the wrong word, but you want to be personable.
Yeah.
And really get people to care about you.
Yeah.
And if you can do that and add that with great music and great visual content,
yeah,
it's going to help you. And, you know, you'll see natural engagement just from people enjoying you as a person. So I think, you know, honestly, find people that you gel with, find a group of other musicians, you know, stay engaged and stay social. It's going to really help you. It's almost impossible to do it on your own. Mm-hmm. The one-man army thing is really hard. You're going to need friends and support around you. So I'd say, you know, make sure you find those people to work with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What about consistency? I think that's a major thing too, right?
Yeah, consistency is also a huge thing because you're scrolling on your phone and you see so many people all day, every day. I don't think you can remember the last thing you scrolled on. I don't think anyone can. You probably can't remember anything you scrolled on today. You just saw 100 things. So
yeah,
there's a lot going on in the space and people are able to access any part of the world now online, which is great. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on it, but that means you need to stay in people's memories and stay engaged and fight for that space. So I think staying consistent and just, you know, it doesn't have to be crazy or OD, but, you know, making sure you stay relevant in people's hearts and people's minds is very important. And, you know, even if you have a song, even if you don't have new material coming out, some of the biggest artists in the world take their song and they promote it 20, 30 different ways and different methods for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And you got to remember that your immediate people and your immediate fans might have heard the song, but there's so many people out there that haven't heard it yet. And taking the time to find those people is important and build that base, you know, and recreating content of old songs. You know, those songs aren't going anywhere. They're brand new to someone who hasn't heard it. So don't forget that.
I actually like that because I feel like a lot of artists nowadays sometimes would, you know, think that their song isn't being recognized, so they should stop, or like you said earlier, they're not getting the following, the liking, and the attention that they're looking for. So they tend to just either quit or, you know, piggyback on other stuff. But yeah, promoting yourself, and I feel like nowadays you're your own brand. You're your own representative right now. Nobody's gonna represent you like you right now. So I feel like what you're saying is key.
Living and working in New York really motivates me. It's one of the top music cities. It's one of the top art cities in the world, along with LA and London, Tokyo. It's a heavy hitter, undeniably, if not the best place for creative energy. And there's so many people in the city that are just driving and hustling and on their own grind, whether it be selling shoes or, you know, paint or all the different avenues of their hustle. Maybe they're selling keys. I don't know. Everyone's just driven to do their thing and sell it and just make it. And, you know, it's a huge competition. It almost turns the arts. It really turns the arts into a competition and a game. You know, who's gonna really climb to success or who's gonna really make the best song that week. And I just love that energy, and it drives me and keeps me competitive when I go, you know, on my feet and I see all my artists pushing their shit and trying to make it and putting their songs out. I'm like, yeah, you know, flaunt that. I hope it goes up, you know. Or it's some other person I haven't worked with. I'm like, whoa, that's fire. Like, look what that engineer's doing. You're like, I gotta, you know, I want how they do that. Or, you know, wow, I remember this artist like Tata, for example. I was just talking about him. I knew him before he blew up. There's many artists that I knew before they really grew up. And I was like, wow, seeing them on the world stage is crazy. You know, it's amazing. And, you know, or whether I get jealous, maybe I'll see Ice Spice. You know, she came out of the Bronx. She was just a drill, you know, doing her rap thing. She was doing her rap thing, and now she's got Grammy nominations. And it's like, whoa, let me get one of those for my people too, you know?
We about to.
It's a matter of time, you know? Of course, I really, you know, I really want that Grammy. I really want these plaques. I really want all the things that I've worked so hard for to be validated, you know, and I can live with a legacy to say, oh, this was really worth it, and, you know, and, you know, that would be the dream. So that really motivates me, along with this New York competition, you know, just the energy and the buzz from the city. I don't feel it in any other city I've ever been to. So that motivates me.
So where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now?
In 3 to 5 years, I hope to have a few plaques under my belt, you know, maybe a few Grammys. That would be amazing. I want to make all this worth it, and I feel like having that validation helps let me know and let other people know about my journey as an engineer and what I can do for artists. I also want this bar for bar platform to grow and be internationally known, and I can make content with artists and they can get, you know, super lit and all the exposure that they deserve just from posting on this platform. And it can be a vehicle to help my artists grow, because they really deserve it. I also want to eventually get into education and helping young people learn how to engineer or produce or write songs or work in the music industry, and follow the path that I did, where, you know, I took my passion to music and I turned it into a full-time career. And I want to show other people that's possible too. So eventually, you know, as I get older and maybe I get out of the engineer chair, I would like to focus more on teaching and educating young kids so they know that music and the arts really is a career path. If you stick to it and you're consistent and passionate, you can really make a living for yourself. And, you know, I want to show that to people. So, you know, even further down, 5-10 years from now, I'd like to get more into educating people.
So what kind of challenges are you facing at the moment right now, and how are you going about it?
I mean, great question. So, you know, I'm working my way up too. Bar for Bar is a brand new platform. It's under 1,000 followers right now. We're just starting. And myself, like all the other artists I'm working with, need to grow and try to get into that algorithm and just get exposed to so many people. So the challenge of making a platform that is entertaining and people want to love and watch, and really capturing the artist's aura on camera, those are some of the challenges I face in trying to get this platform to grow. That's a challenge. Also, making sure my artists are growing too is a challenge, because at the end of the day, my work is a reflection of the people that I work with and how well they do too. You know, I wish I had all the time to focus all my attention on every artist, but I can only give them so many hours per month or whatever they book the studio time for, and then it's up to them to do the work outside of the studio. And I wish I could manage all of them and just get on everyone's butt every day. Hey, how are we doing? What are we up to today? What are we gonna do to get lit? But I can't. That's on them. So it's challenging to put my career almost in the hands of everyone I work with. Also, Grammys is no joke. That's seriously high up, you know? And so getting the exposure to either work with artists at that caliber or get my people to go viral, you know? And that's where I'm at.
With all the hot music that's dropping right now in New York, is there any artists that you would want to work with?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a great question, but like I feel like, you know, even these big artists, they're just souls at the end of the day. Everyone's
Really?
got the same amount of soul in them. Everyone's
Right.
their own person. So, you know, it's easy to say, yeah, I want to work with Kanye West and Drake and all the biggest artists. And of course, everyone does. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, I just want to work with people that love music too. You know, I don't care about how big they are, you know, because there's great talented artists that don't have any fans or anything. So
Right.
I want to work with anyone who is passionate about music and this
Right.
craft and loves it and has that same energy that I do.
Mhm.
Those are the people I fuck with. Those are the people I want to work with.
All right.
So anyone who's got that vibe,
Mhm.
I want to work with them.
All right, guys. So we're here at Mouthpiece, and we sat with Casey.
Yeah.
You guys can find him on Mixed by Casey on
Yeah.
IG. Anywhere else they can find you, let them know.
You can find me in Brooklyn.
Okay.
No, you can't find me in Brooklyn. You can find me at IMI Studios. Pop out, come say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
make a song together. What's up?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Shout out Bar for Bar TV. You can find
Yes.
us there.
And you guys can find me, Beautiful Smile, on Instagram at Beautiful Smile 1789 or on YouTube at Mouthpiece 1789. I love you guys. Bye.
Yeah.
So you know what to do.
Stop playing with me.
Like, share, subscribe.
Tap in with me. Like, share, subscribe.